Okay. Looks like recording is active. All right. Well, thanks everybody. And I am glad to be a member of the district leadership team, I guess I would say. It's not in an official capacity per se, but my role this year is more active in supporting Roberta as she is helping us to develop new clubs and grow our membership as well. And so the role that Roberta and I have discussed for myself to do is to be a demo club chair. I guess that was the correct term. And so that looks a little different. It's something that a lot of us have not been exposed to, and I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of a presentation around that. So about 3 years ago, my eyes were opened. I had just gone to the first day of a 2-day training learning to be an area director. Now, I had no clue what that role was really going to entail. And the opportunity to be a leader was clearly evident as I began hearing the plethora of information at that meeting. I found that my heart just sang. My heart had said, wow, what an opportunity. I want to jump in, and I did. All in. Now, there were many, many scary things about coming in as an area director. I had never held a contest. I didn't know what I was getting into. I had never gone and visited other clubs. That was a scary thing. How was I going to do it? And then the reports. There are reports beyond what you give in feedback of your visit with the club. You also have a few times within the year where you give a report on how things are going within the clubs, and you report that to your division director. So I started doing these things, and at times I felt overwhelmed even within it. I had embraced it, I had said I'm all in, but at the same time, I didn't quite know who to turn to. I didn't know those other members of these area directors and division director roles. And so this year, Roberta and I came up with something new. This year, we would like to educate and inform all of you about the importance of demo meetings, the value of it, and the understanding. These are slightly different than just general club meetings, but there is such an opportunity. What I'm hoping that we will be able to do is we will get together, we will determine what our charter is, and we will determine how often will we meet. Let's keep going. Let's work together as we determine how we can bring it into all the areas and divisions throughout District 32. When we go into this format, there's a few things that I would like to make sure come in. This is where I would love to share my vision. First of all, we would have a bit of a presentation. There are some subject areas that Roberta has asked that we address and we learn on. For example, interviewing skills, learning to assess that audience, especially when it's somebody that's never been a part of Toastmasters, determining what it is that they need from us and how it is that it relates to the Toastmasters education materials. In addition, we have to take it beyond that. We have to set our own goals. So what is it that we want to see to be successful? Some of the ideas that we have discussed and are looking at trying to encourage the groups to do is holding several demo meetings this year, looking at how we can bring it into perhaps clubs that are struggling, clubs that are at that suspended status, or clubs that need a club coach and they haven't been able to have one. How can we bring that opportunity to work with the club and bring out the skills within their team to work together with us and help bring demo meetings where members are coming in and being exposed, we're marketing, we're building all those skills that we needed in our club experience all the way up through the top of the district. So it's one of those things that I never know how we can each come together and find the value, but my vision is such that I'm hoping that we would come and we would talk. You would share where you're at. You would share the challenges that you're having, because all of those relate to other club experiences. You're experiencing it on the district level, but it always goes back down into the lower level within clubs. So the more we understand, the more we brainstorm on the ideas, and we tie it back into how this is being brought forward through demo clubs, we are building that passion and that desire to keep us moving forward, to keep Toastmasters growing, and to truly show the value, what's in Pathways. We don't have to address legacy program any longer. We present one program. We bring it as this is a solid foundation. Toastmasters has been here for a very long time, and we gain that background of information in sharing it forward so that other companies, other clubs that are potentially coming on board, they come and they embrace exactly what we are so excited for them to come on board doing. It's a great team building experience, and we find purpose in the effort of working together. All the members that come in, we know that they bring diversity. They bring it to each of us in the club. They bring a situation and scenarios and life skills and all of that, and it brings new life. It brings connection in new ways, and we learn to work in a more diverse setting. We all know that right now in the current state of our world, diversity is a critical point that everybody needs to get stronger on. So I invite you to join me on Saturday the 25th of July, 10 a.m. Alaska time, 11 a.m. Washington time. This won't be our normal meeting time, but I'm hoping that within that one meeting, we could discuss what we would like to see in the charter, what the action items that each of us would accept and be willing to do, and then we'll put that forward and create the meetings. Initially, I thought about doing 2 meetings a month, but I've been reviewing that and I decided that I would like to bring that to the group and have some discussion. I know at times you're going to feel very, very busy. And so I have a calendar put together, and I'd like us to also review that. But I really want us to work together as a team. So I don't want to make all of these decisions before you ever come in the room. I'd like the group to come together, and I'd like us to move forward together. Now, what we are asking is that both the area directors and the division directors participate on this committee. It's not a requirement, but it is a want. I really hope that you would come and enjoy working with this team. And if we can't always be there at every meeting, we can record them and we can send those updates out to the rest of you. So you can continue to learn, you can continue to be aware of where we are at, and then maybe you too would be passionate about getting in there and giving your input as well. We are forming District 32. We are helping together to build that unity throughout Alaska and Washington. We're building the strength of unity as we hit this COVID-19 and we had to embrace something new. Let's embrace each other as members of District 32. Let's support each other to bring new clubs, to encourage new members, and to address your concerns as we tie it all together. So I would like to just go real quickly over the responsibilities that I have currently put forward. We're going to help struggling clubs and potential clubs to charter. We're going to schedule and coordinate the demos and the open house meetings. We're going to work as a team to develop deeper understanding of working with others. We are going to learn to determine the target audience and what it is that they need, not what we want. And then we are going to practice interviewing skills, skills that help us to get the answers we need while they feel heard. And we will set dates and times and confirm our location for those presentations. We will discuss and delegate the next steps for marketing each of those demo meetings. You will never be doing this completely alone. We will help the club with their marketing as well. We will seek out Toastmaster roles and those that will fill those roles for those demo meetings. Some may be within the location that we're at, and some may be from another club or another area if it's close by. We will manage and coordinate the planning process, and we will confirm our dates and our times and we will help host these events. And at the end of this year, I want us to come together and celebrate our successes. I hope that you find something within this that rings true within you. Understand that I don't want you to feel that you have gotten one more burden. Instead, you got a team that comes together and helps you be successful this year. Join us in making a significant impact toward reviving clubs that are struggling and in need of new members throughout a more socially and friendly approach. I thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Debbie. For those that want to support or have other members in your areas and divisions willing to participate in this committee, please share the information, contact our Club Growth Director, Roberta Craig, and Debbie Baker, who is leading the demo team, so that we can support our clubs and our members and our district. Our next speaker is a past district director who is very supportive of building happy, healthy, vibrant clubs. Please welcome Kyle Hall.
Thank you, Carolyn. Roberta, could you make me a co-host so I can share my screen in a minute? So I was invited here. If any of you have been paying attention to any of the communications I've put out in the last couple of years as immediate past district director, program quality director, I have always been talking about happy, vibrant, healthy clubs. And Toastmasters always talks about DCP, the Distinguished Club Program. I want to talk to you, especially the area directors, especially first-time area directors. You're going to be going out and visiting clubs. And one of the things you are challenged to do is to help those clubs be better. And Toastmasters says you should work with them so that they can do, advance forward in the Distinguished Club Program. I want to talk to you today about how to talk to them, how to talk to a club about the Distinguished Club Program. And I need to get over here and share my screen. Give me a second. There we go. And that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. It helps if you're actually in the right spot when you're starting this. So how do you talk to your club about the DCP? Now, I'm not going to ask for show of hands, especially because I can only see 6 of you here right now. But most of you have probably heard about the Distinguished Club Program. If you haven't, there's a manual. You can download it really quickly. If you're familiar with the plan that Toastmaster uses in order to evaluate clubs, they give you points for educational things achieved, like 1 point if you get 4 level 1s, and I think it's 1 point if you get 2 level 2s, and 1 point for level 3. And you get points if your dues are paid on time, and if 4 of your officers are trained in the summer and 4 of your officers are trained in the winter. And you get points for getting 4 new members and then getting 4 more new members. And if you get 5 points, Toastmaster says you're distinguished. And if you get 7, you're select distinguished. If you get 9 or more, you're presence distinguished. In a nutshell, that's kind of what the DCP thing is. But let me tell you what the DCP is not. The DCP is not a thermostat you can use to change the temperature of a club. The DCP is a thermometer. The DCP is it's a way for you as an area director, division director, district leader, to look at a club that you haven't visited yet and say, what do these numbers tell me? Hey, I look at the numbers and I don't see any educational awards. I mean, in July, that's not surprising because that nobody submitted any, very few have submitted. But let's say it's January and you're looking at the Distinguished Club Program, district records for that club, and there's no educational awards. Well, that tells you there's something going on. So you can use this to take the temperature of a club, but you can't use it to change the club. Let me give you an example. Before I started up, when I moved to District 32, but this is before I started up the district leadership chain, the area director for my area was going around doing what he was taught to do and telling people you should strive to get plus 5 members, a net gain of 5 members, so that you can be distinguished. Now, one of the clubs in our area, they had all kinds of educational awards. That wasn't an issue. All the officers have been trained, their dues have been paid. The only thing they didn't have was the new members. They needed 3 new members, and it's you need it by June 30th, and it's June 20th. And the area director saying you should try to get 3 new members in 10 days. Well, what the president of the club did, because she wanted her club to be distinguished, was she created 3 paper members. She got 3 friends who had no interest in Toastmasters to agree that she could use their name, and she paid their dues and created 3 paper members for the club. And the club was distinguished. Well, everybody was celebrating except for next year's officers. Why weren't next year's officers celebrating? Because the club, remember, part of being distinguished is you have to have a net gain of 5. Well, those 3 paper members went away in October because they were never real members. They never participated. They had no interest in Toastmasters. And suddenly those officers were faced with needing a net gain of 8. So while the president of that club made her year good, she sandbagged the following year's officers. I'm not saying, I'm not, what am I saying? I'm saying that this was the area director was suggesting that these guys needed to meet the DCP requirement, and he wasn't focusing on what the club really needed. What the club really needed is to be happy, vibrant, and healthy, not having some artificial number. And the president responded to that pressure, whether it was a lot of pressure or a little pressure. The president responded by committing an unnatural act, creating paper members. And that's what happens when we try to use the DCP as a thermostat. We use it as a thermometer, take the temperature of the club, teach us to ask some questions. So what do? We don't talk to the clubs about the DCP unless they ask. If they want to know, if they want to have you come and explain the DCP, do so. If they want your advice on how they can do better, talk to them about it. But I suggest changing the language, ask them rather than tell the club. As an area director, when you're visiting the club, ask them, is their club happy? Is it vibrant? Is it healthy? And that's an interesting conversation to have. And they'll let you know, hey, we think we have a vibrant, healthy club, but what's this happy thing? Or no, we're happy and we're vibrant, but yeah, we're struggling with membership. And you can, so that opens up the door to an interesting conversation about how to do that. Now, I want to talk to you just a little bit. I'm going to bring up another document here. I created this document a year or 2 ago. Because I've been talking about happy, vibrant, and healthy and using that instead of the language of the DCP. And people ask, well, how do they match? How do they match up? And so this is how happy, healthy, and vibrant maps into the DCP. This document is out there, and I'm going to paste the link to it in the chat window when I'm done. So you'll be able to go to it after this meeting. I have made my pitch for changing the language you use when you go out and talk to a club about how successful they are and how they could be more successful. Do you have questions for me? And I should stop sharing my screen. I'm not hearing any questions.
Can we get a copy of that thing that you made?
Yes. I'm going to paste it into the chat window momentarily.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a question so much, Kyle, but as more of as a statement. I've been in Toastmasters since 2007. So, and I've seen a lot of, moving towards those artificial numbers. Right. Sometimes at the end of the year, going out and finding other Toastmasters to join the club so that we can get the ribbon. So I really like your focus on the happy, vibrant clubs, right? Happy, healthy, vibrant.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I will turn control back over to who is leading. Roberta?
I have a quick comment. This is James.
Hey, James.
Looking at, I've been wanting to find your document because I had it a while back and I lost it. So I want to look at it again because I'm wanting to figure out how to incorporate it into my incentive plan. I've been doing a lot of research in how scientists try and measure happiness, and they have a hard time with it too.
Yep.
One thing I had forgotten about is that you broke down happiness into safe and fun and lots of laughter, which goes into the fun part, and then also the evaluations portion.
Right.
And I was thinking about how important safe is, and that's something that I've talked about with my own home club on a frequent basis. Is I was so proud when one of our newest officers was the first time she visited as a guest, and we asked her what she thought of the meeting, and one of the first things she said was that she felt safe.
Neat.
And
Neat.
it was amazing. It was amazing. Like, that was what our goal had been, because prior to that point, there have been some members who were having a lot of fun, but they weren't making everybody else feel safe, and scared off a few guests because they were so high energy that they freaked out the introverts. And which is a real danger. It's a real danger. So
I had a young lady come and visit my home club years ago. She was shy. She walked in, and 5 raging extroverts descended upon her to welcome her to the club. Fortunately, somebody else who was a little more in tune with who she was came and basically shooed the guys away. Go away, and took her aside.
Rescued her.
Rescued. That type of noticing how a guest feels.
Yeah, awareness
of how a guest is feeling, how they're responding. That we don't talk about that a lot. We don't talk about safety a lot. I have seen a couple of clubs absolutely destroyed when they didn't feel safe, when members didn't feel safe. They didn't feel safe to talk about something that was important to them, or they were feeling threatened by one of the members of their club. And sometimes it's not overt. And sometimes it just takes a little patience, or sometimes you have to just make somebody aware of it. Hey, culturally, we like a little bit more space. Some cultures invade your personal space and they don't think anything of it. So it's part of that diversity thing.
And it's complicated because, like you said, some clubs want more space. Other clubs find safety through intimacy. Like in our club, we have people who share a lot of personal stories from their recovery process. And about like their emotional trauma from their parents and things that are really deep. And the first time guest was like, do I have to share stuff like that? And we're like, no. That's just us. That's kind of, we were like family, and eventually we make sure we clarify that with them. They're, oh, okay, cool. But so they don't feel put upon to share that much, but then they feel safe that these people really trust these other people. Therefore, I can too. And so it really creates that feeling of intimacy. And so then they're able to feel more open and able to share. And I think that safety needs to be talked about more, because Toastmasters is a safe place to fail. That's why it's successful. And so if it's not safe, you can't share, you can't fail.
Let me make one final comment for your area directors. You're going to be going out, you're going to be making your club visits. One of the questions in your area director report is, does the club have good, effective evaluations? That's an important question, because that's a big part of happiness. One of the other things I would encourage you to look for, there isn't a question on, did you feel safe? I think Toastmasters just kind of assumes that if you're an area director going into a club, you're going to feel safe. If you don't feel safe in that club, or if you notice something that you think would make you feel unsafe as a guest, make a note. It's worth mentioning. And of course, the other thing that we don't evaluate in our area director reports is, do you see laughter? Do you see camaraderie? It's worth making a note. If you don't see any laughter or camaraderie, that's worth noting. Now, we don't have a manual on how to create laughter and camaraderie in the club, but it's still something we can work on. Back to you, Roberta.
Actually, I'm going to be turning this back over to Carolyn.
Sorry, Carolyn.
That is quite all right.
Can you see the agenda?
Now I can.
Okay. So back to seeing the agenda. So back to you, Carolyn.
Although the agenda is for July 20th.
Oh. That must be, oh. We're a week ahead. Come on.
Yes, we can see the agenda. It's not the right agenda, but we can see it.
So that's not, okay, we want the,
We are here to learn and try.
I'm trying to get the right thing that you want me to share here. Give me a second. I've lost my menu.
Well, up next, we are working through our our district success plan. Where the club has a club success plan, the district has one that we set for ourselves for our foundation. And rather than saying it's a district success plan, this is more of our discussion of how we do support people.
This one? Okay, share screen.
Yes.
This is the correct one. Yay!
Go ahead and scroll down and you'll see that we're starting with our core team, which are the trio and the administrative manager, financial manager, and we are still looking for a public relations manager. We have our district webmaster and our newsletter editor. These people are all important for helping support the functions of the district. Go ahead and scroll down some more, Roberta.
Let me go to that.
But those are not the only names. We have our division directors and our area directors. You are all important for helping us set the foundation for our district. It's not the trio plan, it's not the top 7, top 9, it is our district, and we need your input. Saturday, I asked you to look at a couple of the Ask pages in the district recognition program. These are the foundation for success with our district. And we need this discussion. I've allotted a few minutes where we can talk through some of these questions. And because we need your support, I want to make sure it comes from you. Our first question that we're looking at would be, what are our core values? Toastmasters has their core values as integrity, respect, service, and excellence. So what do you think some of our core values should be for our team? And go ahead, raise your hand if you want to share something, put it in the chat. We're going to incorporate this information into the plan that we share with each other for the district executive committee meeting, and also what we put forward to our members in the district council meeting in September. So does anyone have a suggestion for some of our core values?
Well, we can start with safety.
All right, that's a good one. And I know James noted that it's a safe place to fail. Think about what that means for a leader if we give them that opportunity to try, acknowledge that they may fail, and ask them what they've learned from that failure, how they want to improve upon that. I know without the support of Toastmasters, without support of members, I would not be here. I would not be here even trying as a leader. So that is a very important aspect. Is there anybody else that wants to share something? I saw Carol put in integrity.
I was thinking from the onset of learning from failure would be an operating principle as an expansion on the core value of safety. So learning through failure would be a team operating principle. Safety would be the core value.
Absolutely.
I would also point out that the district's core values are in addition to and supplementary to the Toastmasters core values, which already includes integrity. We
Anyone?
can't double down on it, but I just want to point that out too.
We can double down on it because, you know, as Kyle noted, sometimes it may be there, but if we state it again explicitly, we're noting that importance. Does anybody else have a question or addition for our core values at this time? If not, feel free to add them to an email to me, dd@d32toastmasters.org. But again, we have another time in August to review some of these before it goes to our members. Thank you, Vicki. Up next, we're looking at team operating principles. And we really wanted to bring this to you in person like we did last year. It feels condensed because we're trying this in different fashions. So what are some core operating principles that we have? And if we look at the screen, it does say these principles might include trust, safe learning, collaboration.
Learning through failure.
This is Vicki. I think James said it nicely. It's an environment to learn from failure. And you can incorporate, it's a safe environment to learn from failure, safe and supportive.
Thank you, Vicki. You know, that encompasses a lot of what we have been talking about. Does anyone else have anything to add? Carol, I see you have a hand up.
As I listen to this, the thought comes to my mind, you have to fail in order to be a Toastmaster? We'll always fail in order to be a Toastmaster?
New skills.
I look at this as we provide the opportunity to try, but we don't require perfection. Because again, we learn through failure. We learn through things that don't work. But if we give everybody that opportunity to try,
Or to step outside our comfort zone.
to step outside that comfort zone, then it gives everybody that opportunity to learn.
I think that's a much better way to form it.
And comments in the chat. We learn through appropriate feedback. It's not just evaluation, but it's that feedback that we hear, that we learn from. And thank you, Melissa, for that one. And from Manny, I always say, we welcome your mistakes and even applaud them.
We also encourage each other to try new things, to try new skills, to try a new area that we might not think we're good at, but somebody's out there encouraging us to try.
Sometimes it's listening to the belief in others as they listening to the belief others have in us that we might not feel ourselves. I'd like to thank you for these operating principles. But we know that it's not a smooth road. This is where we also have to consider obstacles. Last year, we faced a lot that were totally unexpected. How many of us expected to be online, using Zoom or other forms of an online platform to hold club meetings, to hold contests? And we also know that there are members that were not willing to join us on this journey yet. So what are some potential obstacles that you can see us having to deal with this next year? I can definitely see the social distancing. Debbie's mentioned securing meeting spaces. Are we going to even be able to meet in person? Cost for an online platform, especially for our clubs. What happens if you get hit by a bus? Who are you going to share that information with so we can make sure you are covered and the members that we support are also supported during that time? What I'm reading in the chat, again with securing meeting place, changing economy may force people into new career paths. We have resistance to technological solutions. Fear. Fear that maybe I can't do this job. Maybe fear of reaching out for help. There's some good ones coming through the chat. Thank you. No More Legacy Program. What does that mean for our members? Getting new members in a virtual landscape flooded with self-improvement webinars and workshops. How many of our leaders themselves are feeling zoomed out? Tired of online meetings, or are you recharged by them? Couples connecting, both to the Zoom culture, online meetings, and maybe connecting with others through this medium.
Yeah, also, Carolyn, the demographic makeup of clubs.
And that will be a big one.
Age diversity, etc. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much. How does that come into play with clubs that are surviving or not surviving? How about the economic aspect for a corporate club or even community clubs if their members are in a place where they're losing their jobs? Are there any more obstacles that you can think of? How about from yourself?
Carolyn, I I think this is one that just about all of us are feeling is membership burnout. When we have a limited number of members trying to do so much that our members just get burned out real quickly.
Absolutely. How many of you are feeling that in your clubs?
And we just started the year.
So these are all obstacles for what we may see as preventing us from reaching a goal. But what is our goal? The district has a mission of growing new clubs and encouraging all clubs, and supporting all clubs to achieve excellence. Kyle helped us look at excellence as happy, healthy, vibrant clubs. But if members are facing burnout, do they know or understand the new program, the pathway? Are they willing to participate online? These are all challenges that we have to figure out what we can do, how we can support them, and what support we ourselves need. And Ken noted people not having a place where they can go online. So how do we ensure that we still get them involved in our community? And these are questions we're going to have to ask ourselves throughout the year. I have just come from a meeting with our region advisor. And while right now Toastmasters International is encouraging us to consider online and support for district operations, definitely through the end of August, the way the infection rate is increasing lets me know that it might be longer than that. We might be looking at online training this whole next year. How are we going to do that? How are we going to make sure our members are welcomed? One obstacle I see is, how do we make sure members receive appropriate recognition for their efforts? They're working hard. Normally we give them their medallions and pins in person. We don't have that opportunity. But how do we make them feel recognized? Because they are achieving amazing things in this time. We'll move on next to our meeting protocol. Basically, how will we process our tasks? How often do we meet or call? And what will our practices be? Right now, we do have it set up for Amazing Monday to be held the second Monday of every month. We have our DECMs, our District Executive Committee meetings, already set. We're working on providing additional training. But if you need more support, how will you call? How will we work out a meeting? How will we make that information? How will we communicate some of these aspects? Amazing Monday is now set to be an hour. If we need to make it longer, is that possible? And it may depend upon what training we offer. What are your thoughts with that? Adrian.
I'll say if the meetings are set for an hour, as long as that works and that meets our needs, we continue with that. But if there is a need to meet longer for training or for whatever purpose, then we can identify that it's early on to give us time to adjust and have a longer meeting and, try to have that flexibility and do that.
Thank you, Adrian. That actually echoes with my feelings too. Does that resonate with everyone else? All right, then we'll go from the meeting protocol. Go ahead and scroll down.
Oops.
Team interactions and behavioral norms. How will we make decisions? For the most part, consensus with leadership, with input from the trio and others, the top 7. We do have guidelines from Toastmasters International for specific items that are due at specific times. But as far as the majority of the other decisions, we have our DECA, where we note and approve and we discuss some of these aspects. We have our district council meetings. That is where our clubs have their voice with what they want from us as leaders.
Carol Shaw and Kirsten Lane have their hands up.
Hands up, okay. We'll call on Kirsten.
Hi. I didn't realize I had my hand up, but
You got volunteered by yourself.
I did. I was thinking, how will decisions be made? I was thinking maybe district committees through the guidance of the trio.
That's a good one because we do have committees.
Okay. I don't know how to remove my hand.
I'll lower it for you.
Thank
Carol.
you.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I didn't know my hand was up, but since my hand's up, I didn't get a chance because I'm slow typer to type in. The last question you had was about the district times. Sometimes there might be, at least there was in one of my clubs, for instance, the Zooming, where they just said, anybody that is interested, we're going to have an extra little Zoom training on thus and so. And so sometimes it might just be, we might not need everything, but it might be, hey, is there any extra questions that, that we've gone over, 4 or 5 times that somebody still needs some figuring out on, so to speak, that kind of thing. I don't know. But I don't know how to remove my hands. I don't even know how I got my hand up. So thank you.
It is now lowered. Thank you, Roberta. Basically, it sounds like we have our committees that bring their information. And again, committees are allowed to bring are actually required to bring their reports to the DECA and to the district council. So whatever we do in the district council or the district executive committee has to be brought forth to the district council for approval. Very much the same way that the club executive committee has to bring their decisions and recommendations to the club and its members for approval and ratification. But how do we communicate? What methods work? I know for some leaders, we use text, we use email. Some are phones. I like Vicky's idea of using the calendar to promote training and attendance at some of these aspects. We're going to work into those. So the use of the district calendar. For emails, I don't want to overload all of our district leaders. So the goal is to eventually send the emails from the district, from the trio, to our division directors. The division directors would then use that information, add in whatever they needed for their own division, and send that to their area directors. The area directors would then disseminate that information to your clubs. Does that sound like an acceptable process?
Yeah, I was thinking as you're talking chain of command, which is essentially that. One of the ways to communicate, like you said, is you push it down to the division directors, and division directors push down to the area directors, and the area directors then communicate to the clubs. And I think just overall that can be one of the ways of communicating, like you said, but also even if you send this information out to everybody in the district, that's where, again, we can, if people are getting overwhelmed with a bunch of emails, we can carry out that chain of command in a sense. Like there are things where I might remind the area director, say, hey, make sure the clubs know this, and so on.
Well, we're volunteer. I have to say, we are volunteers. This is not a life or death situation. We can't tell people what to do, but we can provide a chain of communication. Vicki, I see you have your hand up.
I do. I would love it if the trio especially and our division directors would, in the body of their email, say who they're including. In other words, this email is going out to all area directors or all club presidents or whatever. And I think that would eliminate some of the duplication that we get in our email, because a lot of times somebody will forward it, hey, did you get this? And then we start to just skim, and we may miss critical emails because we think we've already read it. So if we identify up front who we're sending our email to, then maybe it wouldn't be forwarded so much. And it would minimize or cut down on that duplicate that pops into our boxes.
Yeah. Excellent point. Excellent point. Tom, I saw you had your hand raised.
Yes. So going to the email thing and all of the emails and email overload, how do you guys feel about using like a chat function in something like Teams or Gmail or something, or Google Docs, right?
I am so glad you asked about that. We are just starting up with Google Suite. We are, and forgive me, I am the absolute Luddite. Our webmaster, Alex, is walking us through this little step by step, which is one reason why our Zoom accounts have not yet been transferred. But we're working on ways to have a group email for the division directors, a group email for the area directors where you can bring in the club officers that you want for some of those things. So we're trying to learn and figure out how to use technology when we are, as Alex put it, wiki will. What we know is what we like. And with this format, with the online stuff, we're all taking this step out of our comfort zone, learning different things, and it is a learning process. And having some idea of what we can use, where we can go with that, we're learning. And we are going to be starting to incorporate some of those different emails, different aspects, because we recognize that stuff like Slack, or I think the other one I've heard is Discord. Yep. On the call tonight, I heard other districts are using some of those aspects to cut down on emails. So we are going to be looking at those.
Cool.
And beginning of the year, there is a lot of emails that go out. We're trying to cut down on some of those, trying to figure out how we work together, but it's still a learning process, and I thank you for your patience. And maybe we need to put that up into operating principles is have patience with each other. And I know that we all are looking at supporting our members with our best intent. And I want to thank you, Tom, for bringing up some of those ideas. James mentioned that the Nerd Masters is experimenting with Discord. So they're seeing how that works with Toastmasters. But this is a good start for our success plan on how we're going to communicate. Go ahead and scroll down, Roberta. Part of the discussion we came in with parameters. How often? And I'm already hearing that you're being overloaded with emails, not sure who they're going to. So definitely setting up who it's going to in the beginning. And that might be when we change it with constant contact. Instead of just a name, maybe to our area directors. Include, that way you know who that's going to. How often should our division directors expect to hear from us? What do our division directors think? No comments? Right now, our trio has a weekly meeting. A no surprise rule. As we go through, I'd really like to have a schedule set up so that you know what's coming up. Right now, our View from 32 comes out twice a month on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And I would really like to encourage our division directors to have a little blurb that they can share to introduce themselves. Share what your division or your clubs in your division are doing. Encourage your clubs when they have an event to write a specific article about maybe what projects they're using in Pathways to help them plan this event better. And then, oh, by the way, come and join us for this event on this day. But tying our educational program into your club events. Sharing that so we can see how we can better use this program to support our personal growth. For me, email and text are easier than phone calls sometimes. What about you? What are your preferred methods for receiving communication? Are there times when you can't answer?
I would say I guess it depends on like how much needs to be said, and meaning that a text is great for me for something relatively short. I'm more likely to see that before an email. However, if it's something a little more in-depth that requires more than a few sentences, then email is good. If it's urgent, phone call can work really well. Or even if it's not urgent, one thing I've learned well from Kyle Hall is that if you call somebody up and ask them, they're more likely to say yes to the opportunity than by other means.
I hear you there, because it's that voice adds that personal contact. And if we could meet in person, how much more impact does that have? I see Roberta is being so great in typing. We have our Amazing Monday, so that's at least once a month. We have our DECMs. Those are 4 times a year. Our district council meetings, we have them twice a year. As
Just
needed.
they will all be on Zoom from now on, or GoToMeeting.
But as we go through, if there's deadlines in our Toastmasters calendar, we'll make sure you have them. On our website now, we have under the district leadership tab, we have our club alignment. Just about every club has a link to their homepage on that. The district director, the program quality director, and the club growth director names have their new emails attached to that. So if you hover over that, you could send an email to them. As we get the other division director email set up, it'd be more of a proxy for you. You can receive emails that would come to the ones that you have shared with us, but your personal email would be private until you respond. So we're still working on getting those structures set up for you. If you need access to Zoom as a division director, before we get them set up, give us a call. We'll figure out something so you can access Zoom to support your division. As we go through, again, this is a learning process. Thank you, Roberta.
Back to, yeah.
Also under district leadership, there are the training resources. And right now that is just a document with links. It takes you to the calendar, to the alignment, to some of the information from Toastmasters International. Other areas that I know we're going to need help with. We'll be updating our information for speech contests. Part of the Education and Training Committee will be looking at supporting our members through training. When it comes time up for Member Development Day, we'll be sharing the information from the surveys. So as we go through the year, there may be times when there'll be more information and other times when there'll be less.
Excuse me for a second, Caroline.
Oh,
I don't
and
know if
we
it's-
are late.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Carol.
Well, the other day on Saturday, you showed us the whole calendar for the whole year and next year. And I looked and looked and looked for that today, and I couldn't figure out where that was at.
Okay, go ahead to, Roberta, go ahead to the district leaders.
Just a second.
Go down to the training resources. And there is the district calendar.
Great, thank you.
And as we schedule the events, then they'll go on to the district calendar where we show the events. And that's this portion here.
Okay, well, that's what I pushed on, and I couldn't find it.
So this is the overview. I wanted to make sure you had those dates. When we actually get them as events, then they'll go on to that other portion of the calendar.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you.
I see it as 7:37. I've already held you beyond our scheduled time. Does anybody have any questions or comments? And Roberta, what questions, can you scroll up so we can see which questions we have not yet answered for that first portion, those 2 pages?
How will the team resolve its differences? How would teams support one another? So if we can get people to, I'll send these questions out to the district folks and if they could respond back to those questions.
And then as a reminder, in August on Amazing Monday, we'll cover this again. Quick review, because that'll be 4 weeks out from our district executive committee meeting. And it will be before our district council meeting when we bring this to our members. So this way we still have a little bit of time to review it and time to make sure that this is what we like, bring it to our district executive committee meeting on the 14th of September. And then we present it to our district council on the 21st, the following Monday. I'd like to thank all of you for participating tonight. And again, if there's anything on this document that you want to look at or share, let me know. We're moving stuff around in our Google Drive, but we do want to give you the opportunity to look at it. And you will be able to look at it before it goes out to our members and before it goes out to Toastmasters International. Are there any further questions for tonight? Again, I want to thank you for your time. I want to support you as you encourage our clubs and our members to have happy, healthy, vibrant clubs, to share the value of this educational program with our members and with our guests. And we will see you next month for Amazing Monday. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
That was great. Thank you.